Okay, so I have an extra Grinch face lying around, and we've already done a more traditional version of him. So I thought we could get a little creative this year. Let me ask you this. What if Tim Burton created How the Grinch Stole Christmas?
You see, even now, the terror is welling up inside you.
This is a cold foam piece, so I'm just gonna have to trim up those edges. And an absolute need, we're gonna have to cut that nose area away. I don't know about you, but I'm not really into feeling like I'm suffocating. But before really attacking the nose, I'm gonna go ahead and seal it with some latex and powder it. The nostrils are all hollowed out, so I'll be able to get a little air. But I did get a little overzealous and cut a small chunk out, but that's okay. Just gonna use a little thickened glue to patch that up. Definitely not liking the idea of having to make a whole other headpiece. And since I like to try to keep pieces from previous makeups, I actually still have the original headpiece I made for the last Grinch. And the face is still attached. We're definitely gonna have to get rid of that. Just applying a little bit of alcohol and gently pulling it away. We're gonna have to make new pieces for the sides of the face. Since we're going for more of a dark Burton aesthetic, I definitely want to change the fur up and make it quite different than the original, but also trying to avoid doing a bunch of work. So I thought spraying the edges black will give it a nice effect and put it more in that dark realm. Also brushed the hair out so it was a little more wild. This also helps to get those ends painted. For the widow's peak, thought it would be fun to do a shock of white fur. Also, a little nod to Sweeney Todd. Now the makeup. Glue down my eyebrows because we all know I am not gonna be removing this makeup properly and just gonna be ripping it off, and I would like to still have eyebrows at the end of the day. Get the headpiece glued on real quick. Now onto the face. Just working the center out. So the top portion of this piece does not want to lay down because the headpiece is a completely different shape than a natural curve of the head. Trimmed some away and tried to glue it down, but it was just not having it.
The audacity!
Cold foam can be a little more stubborn than your classic hot foam prosthetics. So we're just gonna get a little more aggressive and really start hacking it away. I mean, it's not really a big deal anyway, because any kind of edges we're creating, we're gonna be covering it with fur. Some latex to blend the edges into the skin. Get it dried and powdered. For this look, wasn't going for a full green, want a little bit more of a fleshier appearance, but need to get rid of this sickly latex yellow color. So added some fleshy tones, but I did skip the step of covering the prosthetic with glue before starting to paint. And especially with latex, applying Pros-Aid or Beta Bond is gonna act like a sticky primer to really help keep that makeup in place so that you're not accidentally pulling it up as you're working with it. And I'm really starting to pay for not doing this step. The color just keeps wanting to come up every time I'm layering with the sponge. So I was trying to cover it with the airbrush, but I realized this is just silly. I don't wanna have to keep worrying about this as we progress through this look. So let's just stop and add the glue. Okay, dried and powdered, now back on track. Did a lighter flesh color because it's not Burton-esque if it's not pale and sickly. Added a limey green tone and popped the wrinkles with some soft shading of a brown. Contouring is a must for this look. Sponged some texture of the dark green and some spatter. Still keeping it fleshy colored, but shifting it into more of that green tint. For more extreme shading, went in with some purple. Figured it would be a nicer complement than just going in with straight black. I didn't want the end result looking muddy. Really want those eyes to be heavily shaded and those cheeks super sunken in. Color the mouth with some dark purple lipstick. It's really just the very inner part of the mouth. Now time to put the dinner plates in my eyes. Add a bunch of heavy black eyeliner. Also deepen the shading with some black. Pondered doing the thin pencil brows. Because of the sculpt, it's gonna look really weird going over those deep wrinkles. Also pondered a thin piece of fur and maybe make brows that way. But in the end, just decided, you know what, brow free is the way to go. Now to glue on the side pieces. And of course, one side always has to be a problem.
The unmitigated gall!
Let's try that again. Add the widow's peak. Just gonna airbrush to darken the edge of the fur where you can see that white fabric. The Grinch isn't the only one looking to mess up Christmas, so be sure to click over to the next video to check out a glow-in-the-dark Oogie Boogie.